Hi, my name is Desiree. This is Stories by Desiree, and this is part 2 of publishing mistakes I made when publishing my first book, my poetry collection, Stay at Home Calls for Poetry. So yeah, I'm preparing for the 1-year book birthday of my poetry book. And so I just wanted to finally make the mistakes videos because I was supposed to make this months ago and I was procrastinating it. And I was procrastinating part 2 and 3 of this. I've posted part 1. You can find that already on my YouTube channel. And here is finally part 2. So I'm just gonna start. And this part 2 is focusing on the internal mistakes. I focused on the external in part 1, and part 2 is the internal. And so one of the first things I guess I noticed was that on my page, what page is it? 57. Look at, let me show you a before. So this is not really a poem, but it's kind of a reflection titled Desiree's 2020 and 2021 Steps to Becoming Unapologetically Me, Mind, Body, and Soul. And so this is what it looks like. I don't know if you can see the text, but you'll notice a difference on number 11. Look at number 11. It's faded. And so I realized this mistake and I was like, I have to correct it. I have to re-upload a file so that when people buy the book or when the book is printed, it's not that faded mistake. But I had already ordered author copies, I believe. So maybe 20 copies that I had were already printed with the fade. And it's not a terrible mistake, but it's noticeable. And so I didn't want it to be an issue. And so I updated the file. And then number 2, and I have my notebook here, so that's why I'm looking to the side, is I'm gonna show you what poem would I like to share with you. Page 19. I have a poem titled, Why is Happiness So Hard to Keep? Are you happy? My eyes blink, my pace slows. I don't know. I want to be. And to look at this poem, you'll see my name isn't at the top, my name isn't at the bottom, nor the title of the book. And throughout my poetry book, all pages are like that, where there's no name and there's no title of the book inside the pages. And I, at first, when I started picking up other poetry books, which was months later, because yes, I did research of other poetry books, but it was very external. It was the cover and how can mines fit in, and maybe kind of layout and chapter structure, but I did not pay attention to how some authors either have their last name or have their full name at the top of the page, or they alternate between their name and the title, or their name and the chapter, or the chapters in their book. And so I thought this was a mistake that, oh no, I should have did it, because I understand when you're posting on Instagram or you're posting somewhere, you're just posting a page and it doesn't show, oh, who wrote this, unless you say it. You say, like, this is the title of that book and where you can find it. But then I found Vulnerable AF by Tariona Tank Ball, and I talked about her book in part 1. But I'm gonna talk about her again as a reference because I can't find my other poetry books. I still have my books in fiction, non-fiction, and poetry books, and children's books, and old books from my childhood in boxes. And so I don't have a bookshelf yet, and so I can't put them up, and so therefore I can't find some of the other books that I want to use as examples. And one is Rupi Kaur, and and one is Rupi Kaur, or if I'm saying her name wrong, I will put it here. And the other author, I do not remember her name, but I know I have her book because I showed it as like a book birthday gift that my mom had gave me and my brother. And so I have these books, I just can't find them right now. But this is a good comparison, because look at Teriona's pages. She also does not do, and I want to show you, she does do the page numbers though. My fingers are in the way. But yeah, she does not do the name at the top or the title either. And so then I felt a little relief. But I literally found Teriona Tinkball's book late 2022, and so I was still feeling like I messed up. But I didn't want to edit or fix my files because I was like, this is a learning mistake. My book still looks nice, it looks fine, and this is just something that I am learning from. This is a mistake to remember for future reference. I do not have to upload the file again, edit the manuscript and all that, because that's a lot of process that I did not want to do. And I am admitting that. And I can read you this poem that I just showed you from Teriona Tinkballs. I did not read Vulnerable AF yet, but I did watch a YouTube video of her performing some of her poems. She is a singer as well, so she did mix singing, open mic style with reciting some of her poems, and it was beautiful, and it's what hooked me in. Besides me knowing her before even knowing she wrote a book, that hooked me in, plus hearing her recite some of her poems, I was like, I want her book. So yeah, let me read this. This is on page 21, and it's called Spots That Are Hard to Get Out. Do you know how hard it is to ignore a red spot on a white couch? To walk past it, try not to clean it, ignore it, or treat it like it never existed? To see a guest sit on it and try to clean it themselves? B, do not touch my sofa. I'm gonna see you tonight and I will walk past you. If I catch your eyes, I will immediately drop them. You will make sure you stare when no one is watching, and I will treat you like the couch, and you will treat me like the stain. And I'll show it again with the picture. I don't curse, so that's why I said B, but it is the B word. I wanted to read it again because I think I definitely read differently in my head than reading out loud. And so I wanted to process the poem again, and I did. So yes. So that's my comparisons, and that's my mistakes I made with the internal of my book. I'm trying to think if I have other mistakes for the internal of my book that I can share or remember. Let me flip through it. I can talk about 2 stylistic choices that I chose to do. So one is for my table of contents. I chose not to list all the poems and just list the chapter titles and the page for range for the chapters. And I did this on purpose because some of my poems have titles and some of them do not. And so that's why I chose not to. But the person that formatted my ebook was so kind enough to make a list of all my poems and put it in the table of contents. So if you do purchase my ebook, you will be able to click, if you have a favorite poem and you just want to click and reread it, you have that opportunity on my ebook. And then another stylistic choice I made, I'm gonna show you with Not Allowed to Be Angry and A Glimpse of Outdoors. The titles, I don't know if you can see it, I hope it focuses, is lowercase. The titles of all my poems are lowercase, and I chose to do that on purpose, except if it's a name. Like if my name's in the title, Desiree, or if someone else's name in the title, that is uppercase. But I chose lowercase because that's what felt right to me. And also my title is lowercase, and that's what felt right to me. And it was a happy surprise because I'm a part of Black Girls Breathing, which is founded by Jasmine Marie, and she has a community and a website that she's formed for a platform to watch more breathwork videos and participate in community dialogue, and just post reflections every day of like checking in with ourselves. And the whole website, like when we type a response or when we reply to something or if we want to post, it's lowercase. And even in her email she sent, it's lowercase. There is no capital I. And I love that stylistic choice, and I really had never seen anyone else do it, so it made me happy to see her do it, or her run her business that way, because it made me feel even more happy that I chose to do lowercase with my book, and that's okay. That was my choice and it felt right for me, and I'm allowed to make those choices. And so it kind of just reassured me, I guess you could say, but also just made me feel like, oh, someone else does it, yay. So yeah, those were two things I wanted to note and share about the internal choices I made for my poetry book. Let me see if I can think of something else. So that is all I could think of for the internal mistakes I made, and there will be a part 3 of other mistakes I made, and I do have a list for that, so I'll share that, so stay tuned for that. But I want to leave you with my favorite visual page in my poetry book, and that is the pages that, yeah, those are the pages 41 and 42. Visually, I really like this. And the poem says, "The longer I stay, the more I drift from myself." And you see the clouds and also me sleeping across the page. And I think it's beautiful. And it really sticks with me. Yeah, it does look different in the ebook, but you can purchase the physical paperback book and purchase the ebook if you would like to notice and see the differences. And I'm talking about an ebook. Fun fact, this ebook that I'm talking about will be like released on the 1-year birthday celebration of my poetry book, Stay at Home Calls for Poetry. I did not have an ebook when I first released my book, July 12th, 2022. And I do talk about that more in part 3. But now I am finally releasing an ebook, and I'm very happy and excited with that. And I think it'll allow more readers to have the chance to read my book. And I am so grateful for that opportunity. And I hope you are able to read it or share it. Yeah, so again, if you'd like to support me, you can purchase my paperback poetry book now. You can like this video, comment, or you can donate if you maybe can't afford to buy my book right now. If you want to support my business and me being able to gift or share my book with others, I would greatly appreciate it. Thank you so much for watching. Stay tuned for part 3, and don't forget, just write your story, and take care.